Greetings, brothers and sisters. Knowledge is power here for a quick update regarding the formation of a one world religion. Pope Francis announced that Christians, Islam and Jewish belong to the Abrahamic religion, that all three are same, that all should unite together as one religion known as Chrislam. Pope also announced a headquarters to be built in Abu Dhabi by 2022. The work is already in process.
Hey everyone, I'm Dalene Hassan. Welcome to Inspire Middle East. This week we're focusing on the topic of inclusion and tolerance within regional societies, starting with a project in the UAE, which will be a home to a mosque, a church and a synagogue. Later on, we'll look at how the art and artifacts of museums has the power to include or exclude segments of society.
The Garima Gospels in Ethiopia are believed to be the oldest illustrated Christian manuscripts. Scholars previously dated the manuscripts to around 1100 AD, but recent carbon dating has placed the documents to somewhere between 330 and 650 AD. Monastic tradition says that the monk Abba Garima copied the Gospels in one day after founding the Garima Monastery in northern Ethiopia, near Addis. The two manuscripts comprise 670 pages in total, with 28 illustrated pages. Those illustrated pages include 4 portraits of the evangelists and a picture of the Temple of Solomon. The manuscripts are written in the language Ge'ez and have never left Ethiopia. Few experts have examined the Gospels, as the goatskin surface is so brittle it crumbles upon examination. One French expert in Ethiopian art was allowed to take 2 small samples for testing. Those tests, combined with more stylistic analysis, suggest the artifacts are from around 600 AD. A museum is being set up with the hope of further protecting the Gospels while allowing more visitors to view them.
The manuscript you see here dates from about the 1720s, and it comes from Ethiopia. It's written in Ethiopic. It's the Gospels of Matthew and Mark, written in the ancient language Ge'ez. What we wanted to do in this area was to show the spread of other languages. What we see in this image is Christ as teacher. You have 3 disciples in particular on the left who are clearly delineated. The first one is open-minded. As you can see, he has his hand out. He's just receiving symbolically the words that Jesus is saying. The second disciple, to your right and to Jesus' left, is taking his words to heart. He has his hand over his heart as Jesus is speaking and as he is listening. The third disciple on that side, just possibly Judas, the troublemaker, has his hand raised as if to interrupt the teacher and ask a question and disrupt the flow of the teaching.
To a diverse population of more than 200 nationalities, and it's a melting pot of multiple cultures and faiths. A beacon of religious coexistence is planned for the capital Abu Dhabi, called the Abrahamic Family House. Rebecca McLaughlin-Easton looks into what it really means from Jewish, Christian and Muslim representatives in the region. Take a look.
Religious history was made in Abu Dhabi last year when the document on human fraternity was signed by Pope Francis and Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayeb, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. It called for tolerance, universal peace and the reconciliation of all faiths. Embodying this agreement, this year construction will start on a project called the Abrahamic Family House on Saadiyat Island. Due for completion in 2022, the site will house a church, a mosque, and a synagogue. Award-winning Ghanaian British architect Sir David Adjaye, who is spearheading the project, says he was profoundly honoured and humbled to receive the commission. And having identified limestone, timber and bronze as classical materials used in all three religions, Sir David has articulated them differently for each building in the capital. So David, have you had to use a certain degree of design diplomacy, if we can call it that, to make sure that all three structures are equally remarkable, beautiful and impactful?
That is always the case, and then much more so in this project. We also realized that in each of the faiths that there had been very unique details, like the domes and vaults and arches of mosques, ideas of enclosure in the Jewish tradition, and the idea of deliverance and ecstasy in Christian churches. So they became the sort of details that started to, for me, be amplified.
How do you hope that people make use of this project once it's completed?
I really think that what we want is that for those who are practitioners of their faith, that they really find this an inspiring addition to the spaces of faith that they know. And for those who just don't even have any belief, atheists, that this becomes an intriguing new form that really attracts them to kind of look into what are the bases of these three religions.
St Andrew's Anglican Church in Abu Dhabi is made up of more than 50 congregations of 40 nationalities, with average weekly visitors of around 15,000 worshippers. Its Canon Paul Burt says the project in Abu Dhabi symbolises a hugely exciting union of faith, particularly for the region's youth. Canon Paul, talk to me about the level of commitment to their Christian faith that you see amongst the younger generation in the UAE, but also the wider region. Are you inspired or discouraged by what you see?
Religion is still the foundational fact in the lives of most people, in fact almost all people. And young people are excited about their lives and about the future, and so they are full of optimism and excitement. And by participating in a project like this, I think we'll find that it will be led by young people effectively.
Multi-faiths have coexisted in this region and throughout the world for many centuries. So tell me, what new aspect do you believe the Abrahamic House in Abu Dhabi might bring?
It's true that at the moment our world appears to be sliding into separation and division, concentrating on what divides people rather than what unites them. And by concentrating on that, we are saying that this is a vital contribution to the world community at this time.
Sheikh Dr. Fariz Ali Mustafa is an imam and preacher at the UAE's Al Farouk Omar bin Al Khattab Mosque and Centre. He's passionate about religious inclusion and tolerance and encourages people of all faiths to visit his organization so they can learn more from each other.
The culture of love is present in all divine laws, in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Anything outside of a frame of love is simply not from God.
The Imam says that whilst Abu Dhabi's Abrahamic House is something new in theory, its intention is a long-standing one.
Everything new needs time for people to understand it, but actually, this house isn't something new. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to receive Christian delegations in his mosque and receive Christian prayers. But the Abrahamic house can, even if it's new, can revive this authentic culture.
An authentic interfaith friendship was built by Rabbi Daniel Silverstein and Muslim educator and rapper Muhammad Yahya when they formed a hip-hop duo aimed at challenging racial and religious prejudice.
From the
Hebrew to the Arabic, we lead you to the parapet. If the spirit is encrypted in a code, then we'll be cracking it.
Based in Israel, Rabbi Daniel is thrilled at the prospect of visiting the new Abrahamic family house in Abu Dhabi, given the overlaps with his philosophy of sharing religious teachings and building trust within societies through dialogue and music.
Every fragment prays connection, every exile brings a lesson.
Rabbi Daniel, talk to me about the hip-hop group that you formed called Lines of Faith. Why is rap and religion a good mix, in your opinion?
Seems to be that rap is a very powerful way of capturing people's attention and conveying ideas that a lot of young people can really listen to and internalize the ideas more strongly that way than through many other media. And I find sometimes the responses I get from people that they were very moved by what I do.
Educated at Cambridge University, Rabbi Daniel describes himself as a spiritual seeker who studied Islam and Buddhism amongst other religions before his ordination in 2015. Today, Daniel runs an online learning platform called Applied Jewish Spirituality. Inquiries rose during the pandemic, and following the normalization of diplomatic relations between the UAE, Bahrain and Israel in September, new markets emerged.
Just after the Abraham Accords were signed, you received an unexpected email from the United Arab Emirates. Tell me more.
This woman said, "Hi, I'm from the UAE and I would like to learn about Judaism and Jewish spirituality." And I was just blown away. That just touched me so much that what was happening between politicians was already affecting us, just people on the ground, and that this woman could reach out to me now whereas she couldn't before. And she was so excited to learn. I'm so happy to share with her.
Collections of artworks and antiques in museums around the world are carefully curated. Some museums in the MENA region are showcasing religious historical bonds with artifacts. Salim Said finds out what's involved in putting together inclusive and impactful exhibits for everyone.
Sacred artifacts, once held by the few, are now shared with the many in global exhibition spaces and galleries. Museums are democratizing and inclusive, so said the International Council of Museums in 2019, a consultative partner of UNESCO with around 40,000 members, which believes the current definition of a museum is outdated.
The COVID-19 pandemic made very clear to us that the museum of the 20th century doesn't fit to the 21st century. There are many global trends, as we can see. Globalization, digitization, diversity, migration.
There's a new type of gallery and museum goer, says Mateus, which reflects the need for new types of institutions, with collections rich in diverse cultural and ethnic representation.
Museums deal with objects from abroad, out of the context of other cultures, and therefore you need to build a bridge into other religions.
In the UK, the British Museum's Living with God's exhibition holds artifacts of worship from numerous faiths. In Paris, the Louvre contains a gallery of around 3,000 Islamic art objects. And in the Middle East, shortly after Pope Francis's visit to the UAE capital in 2019, the Louvre Abu Dhabi launched a universal religions wing, featuring Jewish Torah scrolls to a medieval Bible, a North African blue Quran, and Buddhist totems, reflecting the country's many faiths and nationalities. And in Amman, the Jordan National Gallery of Fine Arts is appealing to its local and global audience. Among its permanent collection of more than 2,800 artworks are ceramics, paintings, and installations with Christian and Byzantine influences alongside Islamic calligraphy. Inclusive artistry, says the gallery's executive director, is critical for a globally conscious society.
If you look at the world now and you see most of the cultural and political crisis, it comes from the idea of not accepting the other. And by doing its mission to kind of represent and celebrate this plurality of cultures and worldviews, it helps people to kind of cope and understand and empathize with the other.
The Contemporary Museum says inclusion is also cross-generational, meaning it's important to appeal to youth who easily connect with art and artifacts in discussion, performance, and more importantly, as a community.
भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै.
May God protect us. May God nourish us. May we work together.
Namo Buddhaya Jayang Verang Pasavati.
Victory begets enmity. The defeated dwell in pain.
ना के साडे पेशों सच्चों और सबको.
That truth is above everything, and the highest deed is truthful living.
Μακάρι η πτωχή το πνεύματι, ότι αυτόν εστίν η βασιλεία των ουρανών.
For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn.
وإليك يرجع السلام.
Grant us to live with the salutation of peace, and lead us to your abode of peace.
قزم كل شحات مسواتي حلفوت مسواتي حلفوت قحسم على الفغري عين خرف رفوت عين هرف رفوت مليون سعسلي قف فكر لبا كميلكي حديدي عدي يسرى الهزبا قسانتنا خوينو دحرق خسانتكي دحرق قسانتكي نصدي خسو نبل كمزان السلكي كمزان السلكي ولد مخان عدا تقراي ولاديتي كملكي حديقي زعبا حلم ليتي.
فاشستي أبي أحمد حق مخبار بزبل عبارة مخنيات مس مشارختو والكملاخي إساس أفورك إن حيلتات تمكحتي أمحرن سيطاناوي مخر مخيروم زرقه تقراوي آنسيتو تقراي دمام نبريا نبرا كنقب رأينا يلوم قلوع ورار قابل إلى تقراي كاب زفتسمو اللعلت أسران 4 قمتي 2013 عام تمرد كساب الزالو معلت قابل إلى هزبنا نمقلاص እውን ኣጸጋሚ ዝኾነ ዘርኢ ናይ ምጽናት ግፍዕታት ተኻይዱን ይካይድን ኣለዉ እዚ ትርእይዎ ዘለኹም ግፍዒ እውን ብ28 ሕዳር 2013 ዓመተ ምህረት ኣብ ወረዳ ናዕዲር ዓዴት ከተማ ሰመማም ኣብ ልዕሊ ንጹሃን ወገናት ብድሮን ብዝተኻይደ ግፍዓዊ ጨፍጫፍ ዝተጎድኡን ናብ ሆስፒታል ዝመጹን እዮም ነቲ ብትሽዕ እዋን ብዓይኒ ካሜራና ዝቐረጽናዮን ነቶም ንምዝራብ ዓቕሚ ረኺቦም እቲ ኩነታት ዝገለጹልናን ከም ዝስዕብ ክንቐርበልኩም
من اسمك؟
اسمك صقا
صقا من؟
صقا مرسا
أبي أختنا ونركي أبي أختنا برجز هوايو
جرا
طبعا جرا زحدة جازي بخمي وزحكي
أقاطع وين سوني رمت جزانا ساعتهم مسيح خبرهم بنا شكر ذي فلتوه فرمت مصاهم مراي سامعوا عنا وردنا خيرنا ما يسفينا يرن خمس تساكم يهور دلو أو قنياتنا تاو أو يعثني
ما أنت يا وقعتك خلني ساعتك ويخون خمين يرتخونات
لا ساعة شدش هون
انت كي اختو قد يخندق هذه انت كي اختو تايو قاعد لك شو
اقري ذوي سيرة
هزيت خميو مالت اتوقع كنت عايز مصر كبدين يا خميو
بس فصح خلي الحين ما نقدر وايد تقبر يا تخرمين دي مسي تخرمين ما تخون زيلو ازيات قريه مسي تصوصيو انا لبي
دمك خميخ في السكي
دم لا تعالي هاي دم موزة هاي تعالي هاي
أزغى تي كأنزا قال خمي إذا قنزوك قالوا
أنا حيت تأثر دي طالع إنه هاي سنصح ولي غير هو أرسلني له
زغزي ما مش ملش يكون كن فلي حالي يكون كن مالت تتقعتها بسبيلات بس حصل له خص سبيل نخزل له زغزي بس سبيل نخزل له هو خمي زغزي تمتقعتها بسبيل بس حصل له ملش هذا هو يسوي فلي حالي خدام
سيلي أنا سيلي
انت هاي خسر هاي بسرعة
ما جبار
ولكن دي عدمي أخي
إسراف التنقبر
إذا والعزياء سوي القلايا والإنسان كلتن عدم زلوا نستقبل تنسيتيا أبجرا آياتنا بنيراجن زوج ملك ملختي أبلع الحزب تجري زجور وزلوا زرنا يمتفاعل شاف درجة أب حدا جرا كبد قداتي بس حوازلو أبزي نحكمنا طبعا مسبسات يا أوروب نحكمنا داتاز قبر لازلو بتعمي خنديناي تزبط زل حدا جا خنديناي كبد مخانو نسوي المحبر السب طلعت ما أخلي زجبر مخانو من معيت عدك ولا من معيت مسمو تحضراوي مسارات تركب زي ولا قلعة جن سبيل هزت كعزلو مخانو فشت أو حمد حزون أب سبيل المحبر السب أب حزب تجري زوج حزلو قدات حزون مس تحوابيرو مس ولا كمان خيس ياساف وركن عرب إمريت تحوابيرو حزبنا شوف فوقهم زلو حدا مرة جاقصي مرئي يوم عليك عن ماطي
قسانتنا خوينو دحرق خسانتكي دحرق خسانتكي نصدق خسو نبل كم زان السلكي كم زان السلكي ولد مخان عدا تقراي ولاديتي كملكي حديقي زعب حلم ليتي يترفنا وحوار نصمون غنى الراس السنالكي ولد قبلي خويلة هلا وقستتكي يا بحلمي كعرفو يداوي الزرقح حسابا وحقفو حسابا وحقفو وضحكت بالمدري بسرات صحاي
سيغني اللي مفلمة اسم كان مويا خان
شوي أرجع وتخلى يبهر موياي بي اس نرسي سحلو emergency department head nurse
كمين يروتي تمالي هذي سفلا بفلا بجرا كواوي ብዙሕ ደብዳቤ ይውዕልና ነፈርቲ ደብዳቤ ይውዕሉ ኣብዚ እውን ከምኡ ተመሳሳሊ ሞ ብዙሕ ዝተጠቃለሉ ኩነታት እዩ ዘሎ ስለዚ ከም በዓል ማይ ሓኪም ኣብዚ ዘለው እውን እቶም ሲቪል ማሕበረሰብ ንጹሃ ዜጋታት እዮም ተጠቂዖም መፅኦም ዘሎሞ እስኪ ከመይ መጀመርያ ናብዚ ክመፁ ኣለዉ እቲ ዝነበረ ጉድኣት ከም በዓል ማይ ሓኪም ከመይ ካሪእኻ ነርካ ብትባል ንሱ
ሽሞ እቲ ዝመፅዎ ኩነታት ብጣዕሚ እዩ ዝሕዝን ምክንያቱም እቲ ዝሕዝነሉ ምክንያት ስኢልካ በቲ ናይ ሓደ ምክንያት እናገበርካ ስኢልካ ብዝነበረ ምክንያት እናገበርካ ነቲ ሲቪል ዝኾነ ስኢልካ ተራ ዝኾነ ስኢሉ ምንም ዘይፈልጥ ነገር ንሓለፍካ ዝወሩ ዘሎ ጨፍጫፍ ብጣዕሚ ዝሕዝን እዩ ምክንያቱም የተወዝ ዘሎ ሲቪል ሕይወት ትሪእዎ ማለት እዩ ንሕና ካብ ትማሊ እውን ኣይኮነን ካብ ጅራኻ ዝመፁ ትማሊ እዮም እቲ ዝቐነ መውቃዕቲ ግን ዳርጋ ክልተ ሰሙን ሒዙ እኒሄ ማለት እዩ እዚ ክልተ ሰሙን ሒዙ እኒሄ ብስሩስ ክንደየናይ እቲ ሕሙም እቲ የውዝ ዘሎ ሲቪል ክንደየናይ ዝጥቃዕ ከም ዘሎ ብምክንያት ስኺልካ ንዓይ ዘይትሰምዑ ንዓይ ዘይትግዝኡ እናበልካ ዝግበር ዘሎ እቲ ሲቪል ዝወፅሕ ዘሎ ጉድኣት በቃ ክንቋፀሮ ይንኽኣልና ማለት እዩ ካብ መጠን ዓብዪ ኮይኑ ዝመፅእ ዘሎ ሓደጋ ከዓኒ በቃ ኣብ መዓልቲ ካብ ብቕርቲ ማል ጀሚሩ ማለት እዩ ልዕሊ 40-50 ዝኾኑ ወቕዓት እዮም ዝኣትውና ዘለዉ
يغنيلي فلما سمكان نبارنا
ያው ሐዲስ ታየ ይባል ካብ ዓደ ወረዳ ዓዴት ከተማ ሰማማ ኮይኑ
እሺ ሐዲስ እስክት ማል ያብዚ ዝበጽሕ ሓደጋ ስኻ
ያው ኣብዚ ዝበጽሕ ሓደጋ ያው ከምቲ ዝሮ ዝነበረ ኣብይ ኣዴታት ክተልቅሳኸን ቆልዑም መናእተይ ወጣታት ከፋናሉ እዮም ብዙለ ነበረ በአየር ደብዳብ ዘካይደ ዘለ ብሰብ አልባ ኣብዚ ከተማ ሰማማ ዝበሃል እዚ ናይ ግለሰብ ሃፍታም መዕረፊ ናይ ኩሉ ሕብረተሰብ ሲቪል ዝግልገለሉ ተፈናቀሉ ብሕሞራ ጀሚሩ ብመቀለ ጀሚሩ አየር እንዳደብደጉን መጽ እዩ ተፈናቀለ ማዕቀው ኮነ ንድን ዝመጽ ሕብረተሰብ ከአቅበሉ ዝመጽ ከግልገለሉ ዝነበረ ናይ መናሃርያ ሰራሕተኛና ሲቪል ሰርቫንት ጉን ዝነበርሉ ያው ትማዲ ደብዳብ ተካይዱ ማለት እዩ ከቢድ ደብዳብ ተካይዱ እዩ ከቢድ ደብዳብ ናይ ድንኳን ናይ ካሊ መስተን ምግቤትን ዝነበረን ያው እሱ ተካይዱ ያው 15 ዝኣኽሉ ሲቪል ማሕበረሰብ ጉን ያው ህይወቶም ሓሊፎም እዮም ማለት እዩ ስለዚህ ብዘካይደ ዝነበረ በቃ እቲ ዘካይደ ዘለ ደብዳብ ትግራዋይ ብዘርኢ ይጥፋእ ማለት ይምበር ካብ ውጭ ሃገራት እናምፀ ሰብ አልባ ዝኾነ አየራት እናምፀ ንትግራይ ይድብድበላ ግን ትግራይ ምንም ግዜ ከም ዘይተሸነፍ ግን ክፈልጥ ክኽእል ከም ዘለው ኣነ ሓበርታ ካብ ዝኽእል ማለት እዩ
فتشو انا مفتاش تاع تشكرنيو مساكن ترخو صبو
በቲ ዝነበረ መስካሕኪ ደብዳብ ዝሞቱ ነበርቲ ታ ኸተማም ንቡር ከይፈተኑ ስድራውን አልቂሱ ከይቀበሮም ገሊኦም እውን መንነቶም እኳ እንከይተፈለጡ ነይሮም ብጅምላ ኣብ ሓንቲ ጉድጓድ ዝተቀበሩ
وقح كتب المدري بسرعة يهاب النمر متان كتسمومو تنافق بيتنو تقرأي يدعمو تنافق بيتنو زعد يدعمو الحدري وفيات ملختي قياشو نتري أنفت صباح لبامزي وكسو
እዙይ ንሪኦ ዘለና ክፍዕታት ብምስሊ ተቐሪጹ ስለ ዝቐረበ እምበር ክንደይ ቁፅሪ ኣልቦ ክፍዕታት እዩ ኣብ ልዕሊ ህዝብና ተፈጺሙን ሕዚ እውን ዝቕጽል ዘሎ ይኹን እምበር ወላ እቶም ሓለምቲ ብጥይትን ብጥሜትን ህዝቢ ትግራይ ከንጽቱ ቀትርን ለይትን ድቃስን ተስኣኑ ትግራይ ግና ብደም ደቃ ነዚ ብድሆታት ስዒራ ናብ ብራኸ ከምትበጽሕ ንጻት እውን ዝጠራጠር ትግራዋይ የለን ትግራይ ትስዕር